How much would you bet on the survival of Israel for more than 5 to 10 years after all that has happened? So, some people who criticize me for being straightforward on this think this is an anti-Israeli point of view. They're entitled to their demagogy. But my view is it will be a geopolitical disaster for us in the short run, and to the extent that Israelis are concerned about it for themselves.
The pressure that's being put on Iran is pushing Iran closer to Russia and China.
No, it's not pushing them close to Russia or China. We're pushing the Chinese and the Russians to engage in a more direct conflict with the Iranians, but they're reluctant because they have a different view of the situation. And in a different way, each has different interests.
But Russia and China are both getting much more involved in the Iranian economy. Iran comes to Shanghai Cooperation Agreement meetings.
No, wait a second. The Chinese are getting more involved in Iranian economy because they need energy. And they're not going to be particularly grateful if we produce a conflict in the region. And that will also affect them. And what consequences that might have for the world economy is hard to predict. All I'm saying is, don't trifle with this silly notion, we'll just bomb them and the problem is solved. It's a false analogy, and historically there's one fundamental lesson we shouldn't forget. Stalin and the Soviet Union was more of a threat than Iran ever will be, and yet we deterred it. Mao Zedong talked of a nuclear war which might kill 300 million people, and so what? And we didn't have a war with the Chinese. Why should we act like crazies in dealing with Iran?
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Is Israel serious in these threats?
I have no idea. All I know is, as an analyst of international politics, that this will be a disaster. And frankly, I think it'll be a disaster for us more than for Israel in the short run, and a fundamental disaster for Israel in the long run. Because if the consequence of that is that in the end we're forced out of the region, as we might be, because of almost sort of dynamic hatred that develops, and have no illusions about it, that conflict spreads, we're going to be alone. The Russians are not going to be with us. They're not suckers. The Europeans are not going to be with us. They don't like to be in the forefront of conflict for historic reasons. We are going to be engaged. And if we are finally driven out,